What's up, everybody? This is Skookum Arts with our playthrough of The Pedestrian. Developers play their own game, Ep.5. So we just got out of the university area, which is all bright and cheery and outdoors with somber music. And now we're in the inner city, kind of getting close to the end of the day, so it's all moody and kind of getting sunsetty. So it's getting closer to the end of the game, so we're adding in some more kind of advanced mechanics in this area. So here we go. We'll get right into it.
Okay, well,
Normally you don't see how the camera clips like that.
Normally people just rush through it. They just hold over, and then the camera doesn't clip. But if you just tweak it a little bit, you just go nice and slow. Then
Actually, I should have just removed that. But yeah, I mean, I guess that's something to talk about. Like every single camera transition going from one sign to another through doors, those are all custom splines that we had to meticulously make just right because the camera has to fit through some tight spots sometimes. Like right here, like when you go down through this door here.
Oh yeah, let's try this.
And it not only has to work going in one direction, it has to work going in the other direction. And because the camera kind of does this swooping motion, there's this big area that the camera could clip into stuff. So we had to be very careful with how the designing the path for the camera to slide.
Mm-hmm. This is kind of I think we've probably mentioned this before, but this is a good example of being able to go into puzzle mode even in these like transition signs is useful because like, oh hey, there's a button, what does that do? You go into puzzle mode and you can see, even though you can't move it and it's bolted, you're like, oh okay. Mm-hmm. This is one of those. This is like a trick puzzle.
It's a gotcha.
Because you like, oh look at this.
Oh
no.
Gotcha.
Oh, fun.
We have fun.
Yes, we do.
So this is where it's first kind of introduced. You've seen like the plugs on the sign, not the plugs per se, but the little metal connections with the wires. But now we have plugs and movable signs, so you can actually take them out and plug them in and take them out. And so obviously we tried to teach them in a way as most simple as possible. So you have one sign, one wire, two plugs. What?
Nice.
And then this is like a special kind of mechanic. Well, this is where we kind of have a rule where anything physical within the world kind of its state is permanent, but everything within the signs can be reset and modified and everything. So this is where we wanted to show the player that, hey, if you break this connection where normally you have to just do the puzzle again, this physical thing stays.
So I think this is the first thought for the player that I can start breaking the rules of the puzzles. The rules that I've been forced to kind of work around to solve puzzles before are now being used as a tool. Mm-hmm.
So this is kind of the intro vista shot of revealing the area, and then quickly gets into another puzzle.
Yep.
I really love this transition. Well, this series of signs that goes from that back puzzle to the hub, to the eventual hub.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
through this gate.
I think, like we said in a different area, the entrance into every new area has a new mechanic, new visuals, and so we're trying to slowly acclimate them to what is in this area before they really get challenged with big puzzles.
That was a challenge with having kind of I guess you would say open puzzle structure, where you're able to go to really any puzzle you want right off the bat. So we don't have really a progression of difficulty. I mean, we do sort of, but not really. They can just go straight to the hard one if they wanted to. And so we really needed to teach kind of the core basic, hey, this is what it does before you get to the hub. Otherwise, they could just be stuck in a puzzle and have no idea what's going on.
Right.
Here we go.
Another little...
We tried to incorporate little things like this, little special events that kind of tied the sign world and the physical world together.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and those moments kind of like, it kind of brings you back into the whole thing. It draws your attention and makes you like pay closer attention to the things that are going on. Oh, I got it. There you go. Nice. There's some pro level moves right here.
Not very pro. There we go.
So how long is this gonna be? Oh, some shoes that I designed myself. I wanted them to be like indicative of everything that the 90s had to offer.
Yep.
Because whether it was important or not, I set our game in the 90s, and it's in the 90s.
Yeah. This area, harkening back to what we were talking about in the previous episode, where we were saying that a lot of the signs have custom like lighting specific to them. This area is just filled. Every single sign, or every single level, we have a light, a specific spotlight shining on the sign with certain things casting shadows and stuff. So this lighting, or I'm sorry, these shadows on this sign are specifically placed. They're not necessarily from the like train above you or anything. They're actually just objects that we place.
Yeah, it's funny because like nowadays we have such advanced game engines and stuff like Unity and Unreal and all that kind of stuff, and they're super awesome. But when it comes to making something unique and that's not like expected, like a typical shooter or a generic first person type of game, you're gonna run into a lot of problems where you have to kind of make up your own systems, because these game engines are crafted for very specific types of games, the popular kinds of games that are coming out all the time. So these situations where we're forced to kind of make our own stuff, it's almost like encouraging because we know that we're making something unique.
Yeah, so this is this sign we had to make in a particular way so that you could get back. So every single puzzle that's connected to the hub, we want to make sure that if you like are stuck on that puzzle and you just don't want to play it anymore and you want to go do a different puzzle, you have to be able to get back to it. So that's why we have this kind of mess of like this jump pad here and over there and stuff.
Actually, this entire sign is totally unnecessary.
It is.
But a lot of times, I mean, maybe it sounds kind of silly, but a lot of times we would put a little thing like that puzzle back there because of the cool shot. Like, because of the area that we're trying to get players to travel through. It's like, hey, we need them to kind of stop here. And not only like take a look at this spot here, but also to kind of, if we have a long ways to travel, we need places to connect these long distances.
Mm-hmm. It's also like, from a player standpoint, a nice place to rest and kind of test out the buttons on your keyboard a little bit, or controller, because there's not necessarily a huge amount of like platforming and jumping and stuff like in the puzzle itself, but in these little transitions we can play around with more kind of jumpy and runny and just like fun, relaxing things. Mm-hmm. If you like struggled on a puzzle for half hour, gives you a little break.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so I showed hang on a sec,
Daniel, what the heck?
I showed Jed this recently. Joel, I don't think you know about this. There's a freaking note.
Well, you can find it yourself and read it.
Yeah, so if you guys want to play the game and read what that note actually says.
I forgot that was
Oh, so did you know it was in there?
I guess I didn't know.
Yeah.
It's the notes from a broken man. No.
I had to express myself in some way.
So this puzzle is kind of cool because this uses the new mechanic, which is these like the electrical wire mechanic. It also uses the depth portal mechanic along with the original mechanic of just the doors. Mm-hmm. So this is really kind of like an evolution of everything thus far.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like everything, it's really interesting to see how all of these puzzles have evolved over time. Because this one was originally a different idea, but with a similar concept of completing the puzzle in stages. Like there's this, first you're working in the lower left corner, and then you get access to the upper left, and then you get access to the right side. So it's a longer puzzle, but it has little like almost checkpoints where you unlock an area, and then no matter how many times you reset or anything, everything still stays unlocked.
Yeah.
So it can be more advanced, but still approachable.
Yeah, it gives your mind kind of an area to focus on. Mm-hmm. Where as soon as you beat one, then you're like, okay, now I can shift my thinking. I don't have to think about this stuff anymore. I can shift my thinking over here. So, yeah.
And I find this puzzle really special too because it takes advantage of a single puzzle and makes 3 puzzles out of it. You are essentially solving 3 puzzles, but with the same pieces in different ways.
Yeah, and you're using the same signs.
Ta-da!
Bazinga!
We did it. This was funny. We released the game, and this sign was actually, I think this sign had a door on it. It had a door above, but we found out that you could cheat. I can't remember exactly how you did it, but some people were cheating and then pulling the key out. Were they pulling both keys out, or what were they doing?
I can't remember.
I think they got stuck or something.
I can't remember what it was, but yeah, we had to remove the door and then just make it so that you have to reset here and then go into this sign through the depth portal.
Yeah.
So that's just one of those things where it's like we were making this game for a really long time, playing this puzzle a ton, and we never figured that out. And then we, send it out to a bunch of people, and then they're doing really goofy stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Players play the game weird.
Yeah.
Bunch of idiots. This ain't Fortnite. I need to stop talking about Fortnite.
Not sponsors.
It's not even funny anymore.
Hey.
And so this is where it's like, now that, why did we do that? Oh yeah. We did this little drop so you can't get into the back end of the puzzle.
Right.
Yeah, I think. There. Never mind. I can't try to test it. But this is one of those things that we had to decide on what we were gonna do. Like, if you are in a transition sign and you die, what happens to an object that you're holding? And so, I guess it's not really interesting.
Yeah.
But we just made it so that it spawns with you here at the beginning at the spawn.
Yeah, it's just another one of those things where it's like
you don't really think about until.
Yeah, like as a player playing the game, it's like, oh yeah, the game's pretty simple. I do a thing and it happens. But you doing the thing and making it happen is like 100 little details going on behind the scenes that you'll never realize. Hopefully never realize as long as it works the way it should.
Yeah. I feel like that's a thing where to be able to make something feel simple, it's like a lot of work.
Right.
Or something
Life
like that.
is complicated, and the only way to make something simple is if you take all of that complexity on yourself and remove it for the player to not have to think about.
Mm-hmm. A lot of forethought, a lot of testing.
Yeah.
You're good.
I like this puzzle.
Yeah. Well, This was we have 2 puzzles like this, and later on in the game was the first time we were going to use this trick.
Oh.
But we thought this puzzle was too cool to not take advantage of it here, so this is the first time a player gets to experience like freezing the player in puzzle mode. You have to freeze the player in puzzle mode in order to actually solve the puzzle.
Yeah. This puzzle too, this one and then one of the puzzles over to the left, these were 2 puzzles that we actually added in, I think rather late.
Oh yeah.
Because this area with the electrical mechanic, I feel like originally we were hoping that this mechanic could be something different, like that it could kind of, we thought the mechanic was more robust than what it ended up being, I feel. So yeah. we had to end up changing some of these puzzles because we were trying to do things with the mechanic that it just didn't really work well.
Right. Like at this spot, we had it all working, but it was still kind of really finicky. There was a big fan built into the wall here, and you would have to power the fan on, and it would start spinning a little wire that was hanging out of it, and that's what you would connect to, and you would need to spin it in different directions so that you could reach it from different spots. And it just got way too complicated for us building systems around how whatever, you know.
Plus it was sort of a similar idea as the puzzle behind it, where there's different stages to the puzzle and you kind of reuse the same pieces. So really we were doing the same thing twice, and it wasn't necessarily
didn't have a good identity to it.
Yeah, to go off of that, I don't know if we've mentioned in a previous episode or not, but we tried as much as possible for every puzzle to have its own story. Every puzzle needs to have something unique that identifies it and sets itself apart from all the other puzzles. Because if you keep, like, I find a lot of puzzle games, they'll like make 1 or 2 cool ideas and then they like do the same thing, 20 different times, but just in a different order. And that's not really fun or interesting. You want every single puzzle to bring something new to the table every time.
Yeah. We tried as best as we could to try to keep everything unique. I do think that we do have quite a bit of repetitiveness, but
well, a lot less than an average puzzle game.
Yeah. But probably a lot of that is just because we have fewer puzzles.
Scary.
I think this actually might be one of the most complicated, the hardest puzzles in the game, maybe.
I was thinking that when you came to it. This one was another one that kind of got changed relatively late. And so it's using a lot of our ideas, but we just wanted to expand on it so much, and it got so big, but it's still
doable.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few little things where it's like, maybe we could have like not done that, like that spot right there that Jed just went through, where you have to drop
that's totally
down.
Easy.
You have to drop down through the depth portal. Most people don't think, I need to drop down so I don't hit that laser. They'll go whoosh right up, smack the laser, and then they have to do the previous like 3 minutes of work, which is not bad. Like, this is probably the only puzzle that you have to redo work if you make a mistake. Like the only one that actually punishes you for it, which is kind of a shame. But if this is the only time that you feel like you're being punished for just like 2 to 3 minutes of rework, I don't think it's that big of a deal.
I do like it that we were this was our goal with this one, was to we wanted to reuse this depth portal multiple times for different signs, and so we made it so that we had to place this valve in a particular location so that this one could fit down in, but then also this one could fit on top, because we if this valve wasn't here, then you could put this down further and get the depth portal to potentially pop you up directly into here, so you could cheat this early on. You could get to the top. So
But we wanted to like showcase this transfer of momentum going through the depth portal, and it continues that momentum in the next sign.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's 3 puzzles
We're doing
solved.
it, baby.
One last one.
Oh, and this one, the progression object, if you go back.
Oh, yeah.
The progression object is these little Polaroid pictures on the right side.
Oh, yeah.
So, as you can see, it's a picture of each of the puzzles that we beat.
Are those? Oh, they're old, too.
Yeah, what? Yeah. Well, I took screenshots, like, in Unity, the game engine that we were using, just so that we could have these pictures here, and I just had them as placeholder, but then we kind of ran out of time and forgot about it. So these are the pictures, if you look closely, are like early iterations of the puzzles, but it's whatever. Nobody's gonna notice.
Now they will.
Dang it.
Oh, and then we really wanted to, for this area, because the theme was electrical, we really wanted one of the kind of goals of the hub is to get electricity to the hub. So that's why this wire's here.
Yep.
It's cool. I don't think we do that anywhere else in the game. But.
No, all the other ones, you just get a wire, a crate, and a component, typically.
Yeah.
This one's special.
Very special.
Yeah, this was the puzzle I was talking about that we ended up making kind of at the last minute.
Yeah, I think this was the very last puzzle we made.
And yeah, I'm really happy.
And it's called Noodles, if you can't.
Because there's a lot of noodles. I think it's this one. But this puzzle is also with the lighting here.
No, you got to take that out.
What? Oh, you're right. Shoot. I can't remember exactly what was the reason. There was some reason why we couldn't have lights here for one reason or another, or it maybe didn't look good. I can't remember exactly what it was. But then we're like, okay, let's just put the whole thing in shadow, and then we don't even have to light it. We can just make the signs look like they're in shadow. Because they're going to be stationary, you can't drag it into the light. We'll just go with that.
Yeah, see, I don't know. I mean, because this is our first game, I don't know if there's like a better way to create systems and stuff, but we really just kind of forced ourselves into just like hand making every single thing, and it would get very tiresome. For like every single puzzle location, it had unique requirements in order for the game to run smoothly, for the lighting to look properly, and all of that kind of stuff. Every single puzzle had unique requirements that we had to like set up, and it would get very tiresome and take a lot of time.
I think a lot of it was just because we didn't want them to, it goes back to, we didn't want the game to look samey at each location. I think was a lot of it. I think a lot of it was driven by visuals than anything else. Like we could make everything, like we could have made it so that the all the puzzles were just in like a level list, and you just go from one level to another and everything like that, but that would have been just kind of, it wouldn't have been different enough to make...
We wouldn't be happy with that.
Yeah, to make the game worth making.
Yeah, which I don't know if we talked about before or not, but like, people have mentioned technically the game is just, a flat 2D game, and you don't need all the 3D backgrounds and everything, but like, what defines our game is the environments that you're traveling through, and I would argue that it wouldn't be the pedestrian without these 3D environments to showcase a world and almost like a story to experience as you're playing this 2D game.
It's more of an experience. Like our game is half experience, half puzzle, essentially.
Yeah.
We did it. Meow. So, what are we doing?
Gotta plug her in.
Plug everything.
Here we go. So now we just have 2 spots left on the gamepad. And it's cool too, because like at this point, I noticed this is when players would like want to customize their gamepad. Like, oh, I want to put the light bulb up here at the top of it, and I want to put the fan down closer, stuff like that. So it's kind of cool. That's why we set it up like that, so you could kind of like personalize your gamepad the way you want it.
Yeah. We done it.
And that's our exiting shot. And Logan made a little
outro.
Outro theme to kind of like wrap everything up and transition to the next area. Feels real nice.
And that's another T sign where you were here before.
Yeah.
Okay. And you can't get back. You're stuck.
Sorry, gotta move on. Alright, punch in the code.
Oh, more 7s and...
Oh, more 7s.
Just some...
No 9s though, so that's good.
Yeah, so I think originally one of the reasons why we did the codes is because I feel like I think we were going to make them more
of a puzzle.
Integral to the game in some way. I can't remember exactly what we were thinking.
Well, we had this idea of it was all of these wires, like the spools. You would get a bunch of spools and connect wires up in different patterns. And the way you would know how to connect it up is you would have a graph that would be revealed. Instead of numbers, it would be this graph, and it would show like the pattern you had to draw. But yet again, it would have been cool, but didn't have enough time. All right, so there's just 1 tab left on the clipboard.
Oh yeah.
It looks like we got to collect some kind of
fan thing.
So that is it for that episode.
That's
it. The next area will be a much bigger area, the rooftops, and I think that's it. Okay, cool. So we just finished building the pedestrian for PS4 and PS5, and it's finally coming out on January 29th. So you can't like wish list it or anything, but when it comes out, be on the lookout. Go to PlayStation Store on both PS4 and PS5, and it'll be there. So, thanks for watching, guys, and we will see you later.
See ya.